Books and Writing Amino. It is Gwen, aka Gwenreads, here on the YouTube channel for the first time, which is so exciting. So yes, this is my first ever YouTube video, and it feels weird not having a time limit because I'm so used to Instagram being like 1 minute videos only, and I like to ramble, so it's really difficult for me to keep things under 1 minute. And now that I have just like the ability just to talk is so exciting. So yes, welcome over to the YouTube channel from everyone over on Books and Writing Amino. And for those of you guys who have not heard of Books Writing Amino, it is a really fun community in which I run along with another individual. Her name is Sybil. She's really cool. And we have another really fun creation team as well. And on this community, you can blog about reading and writing, you can do quizzes and talk to people from around the world in our public chat rooms. You can virtually do anything. It's all about blogging and reading and writing, and it's a really fun time. And I'm sorry for this really weird sunspot that's like on my chin. But yeah, so it's really, really fun. And if those of you like to read and you like to write, you can always share your work on there and you can get feedback. So it's really exciting. So if you have the time, check out Books Writing Amino because it's really cool. So anyway, this is a Q&A video. It's the first one I've ever done, and it's intimidating. I use my phone to record everything because I am 17 and I don't have a lot of money to go out and like buy fancy equipment. So I use the old school pen and paper to write down these questions, and I tried to answer everyone's. I'm gonna try at least to. For the most part, I did try to get to everyone who left a comment, which bless your hearts for doing that. That was so nice of you guys to help me put this video together. So yeah, I'm gonna do my best. I'm probably gonna be looking down a little bit too and like marking off what ones I answered and stuff because I like to plan. I'm a very big planner. I'm a Virgo, so I'm big about planning. So yes, the first question I think I'm gonna start off with is your favorite place to read and write, because I think that's kind of fun. So I am an introvert. Putting this out there, I like to be at home. I'm a homebody, so I prefer to read at home for sure. My second option is to read like in a cafe. I'm a huge Starbucks fan. I think I actually have a Starbucks on my table over there because I just stopped after school. But yeah, no, I love Starbucks, but I love home. So in my closet, I create like a little nook and I put some blankets and pillows in there, and it's super comfy and it's super nice. So I'm just feeling overwhelmed, coming home, sitting in my closet, which sounds ridiculous, but honestly, sitting in there, lighting some candles and some soft music playing. Perfect way to, you know, get into the afternoon, you know, and just kind of chillax. It's wonderful. So yeah, I'll even write in there too. Like I have an outlet outside my closet. Like I'll plug that in and just write in there. I can be in there for hours too. It's ridiculous, but it's like my favorite place to be, honestly. So the second question is, how long have you been a reader? I also didn't include the people who left these because like privacy reasons and stuff. Maybe next time I do a Q&A, I'll include the username who asked me, but like I just didn't want anyone to feel comfortable, so I didn't include usernames. But again, I'm sure if you really were all that curious, you can go on there and check. But so yeah, how long have you been a reader for? I've been a reader for about 4 years. I began to read when I was 13, so 9th grade, freshman year. Freshman year was a really hard year for me. I don't think I really ever opened up about it, but my parents got a divorce my freshman year, and my sister was going through a lot with mental health. So I found that for me, reading was a very therapeutic way to kind of escape. And this sunspot is going to ruin this whole entire video, isn't it? Anyway, so yeah, I found that like reading for me was such a good escape, and it was healthy. And I read Twilight actually for the first, like my first real book series that I got into was Twilight. I just fell in love, and I couldn't stop reading, and I just never wanted that series to end. I just remember it being like 3 o'clock in the morning and just reading and like being astonished that like this was a real thing and like people did this and I could do this for free. I can go to my library and just read all I wanted. So yeah, I was a reader hardcore my freshman year. I didn't stop reading. I loved it. And I still love it to this day, obviously. So yeah, I'm a big advocate for reading, especially like in a therapeutic way too. Also, I talk about mental health a lot. I don't think I've really talked about it much on Books Writing Amino, but I'm a big advocate for mental health too. So books, I think, are just one of the many ways we can help ourselves when we're going through hard times. So the third one is the best position to read in. So I like to sit crisscross applesauce. I'm really weird. I don't know why. I just find it really comfortable. So like, this is how I'll read. Like I'm sitting right now, crisscross applesauce on my floor. Like I just love to read this way. So this is probably the most comforting. And again, reading in my closet because I'm a weirdo. I don't know. I find that really like comfortable. So yeah, I just like to sit in my closet and just drink some coffee and have a good time, you know? So number 4 was, what fantasy genre do you recommend? You know, my go-to is always A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas because it's a great series. Like I can't even talk enough about it. It's amazing. But I thought for the sake of this video, I would talk about my second favorite, if not my first. It's kind of a short tie. I don't know. It's confusing. It's Elise Kova's Air Awakens. There's 5 books in the series, and I thought she was self-published, but the more I'm reading about it, I'm not really sure. But she is published by a publishing company called Starwing Press, and they're not all that common, so I'm not really sure what the dealio is with that, if she has like something, like a deal with them. I don't know. The world of publishing is overwhelming to me, so I haven't really like divulged in it necessarily. But this is an amazing series. It's fantasy and it is about adventure and romance and drama, a ton of drama. It's like Gossip Girl goes to fantasy world. I don't know. It's just, it's crazy. And the main character, her name is Vala. I think I'm saying that right. It's Vhalla. Vala, I think. She's a library apprentice, so she loves to read. And I love to read. All of you guys like to read for the most part, and you guys like to write, and I know she does too. So she's a very connectable character for us readers, and she's a complete badass. So I don't know. It's just really good. It's a little cliche when it comes to like the romance that occurs in the book, but at the same time it's like it's not necessarily a bad thing, and there's a lot of angst, and I as much as I'm just like ooh, about angst, it was built up really well and the suspense was really good. So Elise Kova killed it with this. She has another series. It's called The Dragons of Nova and Alchemist Loom. As of now there's only 2 books in that series, but there's going to be a 3rd one I think relatively soon. I liked it okay. I read the first one. I don't think I liked it enough to like start reading more of them, just because I have so many books to read for school and for pleasure. It's overwhelming, so I haven't really gotten into start reading that one yet. So, something I want to read though in the future, for sure. 5, I kind of tagged 2 questions together. So it was, how do you stay reading a book without getting distracted by it? And most important tip when starting a book. So these got kind of put together just because they somewhat go together anyway. The biggest thing when you're starting a new book is just to have an open mind, whether it be for school, like a textbook for school, or it be something for pleasure. You have to go in with an open mind. Don't take into consideration those who have written comments on Goodreads giving it 1 star, saying it was terrible, and don't necessarily think about like what people are writing in books. You have to go in with the open mind, and you have to try to experience it for yourself, because a famous person said, don't know who, but a reader never reads the same book once, I think. Something like that. I don't know. No one ever reads the same book once. That's how it goes. I'm trying not to edit this video because I don't even know how to edit. So I'm trying to like just post it as it is. So I'm sorry. This is going to be rough. But yeah. So I think that's really important, is that nobody does ever read the same book. Everyone goes in it with different perception, and reader lens is what it's called for all those literature people out there. You're reading it with a reader's lens, which means you're going in with your own emotions. You're going in there with your own experiences. So you're going to read that book and you're going to finish it with a complete different experience person next to you. A book might symbolize hope. For another person, it might symbolize death. Like, who knows? That's a really cool thing about reading. So yeah, go in with an open mind and just go in for the hell of it. Even if it's not good and you have to stop halfway, at least you gave it a shot. I mean, that's what matters most, right? And then how do you stay reading a book without getting distracted by it? I don't think I wrote that question right. So I think for this one though, like without getting distracted by your surroundings, is reading when you're in a comfortable place. I don't know, again, reading for me is a very therapeutic thing, so I prefer to read at home, but whatever that helps you best in your environment, that's what really matters. So the most important thing again is just to go in with an open mind. Maybe play some music too that helps with that. For me, that helps like without distractions, because I don't hear people talking, because when people talk it just messes up my reading. So some classical music is always a great one because there's no lyrics. Even some soft indie music I found is really nice. I'm a big indie rock person, so I can basically listen to music of hardcore rock, but yeah, everyone's different again, so you just never know. Alright, so number 6 is aspects of a book that turn you off. This one's difficult because for me, I pretty much read anything. For a long time I was like, oh, fantasy, sci-fi only, no contemporary, nothing else. But I feel like as I've grown as a person and as a reader, I'm pretty much open to anything. One thing that I don't really like in books is smut, and I'm not going to get like super into this because uncomfortable, but I will say that just like I don't seek romance in books. Personally, I'm not a big romance fan in general. I think if it goes along with the story well, that's great, but if a story doesn't need romance but it's put in for a subplot, it's really freaking annoying for someone that doesn't like romance. It's like, okay, like we didn't need this. There was no need for this romance in this book, but of course they had to add it in there, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that's something I just try to, I'm just not really into, like adult romance. No, I kind of avoid it. It's just not my genre. So let's see, 7 is tips for new writers. So this one's difficult because I am a reader at heart and a writer in practice. That's what I go by. That's like my little thing. I don't write that much, to be honest. I write for school, for pleasure and like creative writing. I just don't do it that much. I wrote a short story this summer because I had the time to do it and I had the inspiration, but I don't get inspiration often. I guess one of the biggest things though that I've learned from my short little writing experience is that writing, you just have to kind of put your work out there, even if it's like a really, really crummy, rough draft, or it's something that you never shared with anyone and you're just kind of nervous about it. Putting it out there and getting feedback is a great thing. I was so nervous when I posted my first short story. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I was so nervous when I posted it, and the instant I got feedback from it, and even if it was good or bad, I just felt so good. I was like, wow, someone took time to read this and someone took the time to comment. And it was a really, really eye-opening thing for me. So the biggest thing, again, is just to share it. Even if you don't get good feedback, you know, you just tried it out and you saw what happened, you know? So let's see. Number 8 is, how many books have you read this year? This is depressing. I've read 31. And you know, 31 isn't horrible, but for me personally, like, I read a lot more last year than I have this year. And I don't really have an excuse besides school and work. I work about 20 hours a week. For those guys that know, I do have a job. I work in a bookstore and I work in a cafe. Kind of do both, so it's a good time. And I love it, but it does hinder my time to pleasure read, and so does school, because I'm reading AP textbooks, which aren't fun, really. You know, AP Lit's good class because I'm reading a lot of short stories, but AP World History, Mesopotamia, you know, it's just kind of like, eh. I'm just not a big fan of it, I guess. I'm looking forward more into, like, I don't know, the 50s are a really interesting time for me, just like with the Cold War. I think I've got that right, the timing right. I don't know. I think that's the time. I don't know, I've always found that really interesting, so I'm just like waiting until the second 9 weeks of that class, or maybe even the third 9 weeks, just to really get stuff I'm interested in. But anyway, you know, Egyptians, you know, all that ancient culture, pretty cool. But yeah, I've only read 31, and I'm reading It by Stephen King right now, and that book is like 1,000 pages. So I'm trying to get to 40. This year I'm trying to get to 40. We'll see if it happens. Some people, I mean, like, again, if you don't have that much time to read and 30 is great, that's fabulous. If you read 30, you should be proud of that. And if you read 2, you should be proud of that, because not a lot of people read anymore. And it's a big deal if you can even read 1 book a year, like, for pleasure. So kudos to you for just reading in general. Another one is, do I use Goodreads? Kind of goes along with reading this year. I use Goodreads, yes. I don't use it for recommendations. Honestly, I use Books Amino for recommendations, and I use my friends that are readers and the outside world for recommendations, just because I find that my friends out here, you know, outside of the screen, we have a lot of the same interests and tastes and stuff in books, and on Books Amino, a lot of people have really good taste too, so I find really good recommendations in both of those. My experience with Goodreads and recommendations hasn't been that good. I just found that they recommend me some really, really weird books that I wouldn't normally be into, and I don't know if that's my fault or what it is. Like, not like slamming Goodreads because it's great, but again, I just haven't really found any books that I'm like, wow, this is really good from Goodreads, you know. I use Goodreads for my TBR list and to keep track of my yearly goal. It's a great way to do that, and I'm a planner. I'm a Virgo, so for me to plan is really, really great, and I found that Goodreads is a really easy way to stay organized, and it's really user-friendly, except for the whole profile and friending people. I find that really difficult, but I mean, I have a friend who, like, meticulously uses Goodreads, like, is on it every single day, reads 1 page, checks it, like, you know what I mean? Like, she loves it, and that's a wonderful thing. So it's really all about personal preference, and, like, if you're a big technology person or if you're more of a pen and paper person, I'm kind of both, millennials, you know? So, let's see. I think I'm getting close to being done. This is really sad. I thought I would, oh, wow, okay. I'll just stretch this question. This one is, what character do you relate to the most? This one's difficult, because I don't think I necessarily have found a character that I'm like, wow, that's so me. Like Kat from Fangirl. She's great. She's really cool. And she's really into fanfic. And to be honest, I'm not really into fanfic. I think I read, like, Dirty Laundry, which is a Voltron fanfiction, like, 2 years ago. But, I mean, at the same time, it's like, I have a lot of respect for people that do write fanfic, because I know it's kind of a, not really taboo writing category, but it's one that's not as common to write in. So those who do write fanfic, like, kudos to you. I think you're really, really freaking cool. So I just thought Kath was really empowering to those that do choose to write fanfic. And not only that, but just, like, what she's going through in her life. You know, being a new college student, that's really scary, and, like, leaving home. And she also does have well, I guess even problems is the right word, but she deals with mental health issues, and I think that's really cool that, you know, Rainbow Rowell, like, chose to write about that, because most of the times when mental health is written, it's not depicted all that well, at least from my experience of reading it. I read a couple of really good ones, like It's Kind of a Funny Story. That one I really, really liked. I related to it, but I just thought it was important for teenagers to be able to read something like that. Maybe they don't feel as alone, you know? But yeah, I was impressed by it. I thought that she portrayed Kath in a really interesting way. But I think I more aspire to be like characters than I relate to them. Like, I would love to be Vala. I think she's awesome from Air Awakens. Like, sit and grab it. I wish I was her. Like, she's so cool, and her life is hard, but I mean, she's just a really cool character, and she's really empowering, and I don't know, I think it would be really cool if I could relate to her, but I don't. I just look up to her. And same as Feyre from A Court of Mist and Fury and all those fun trilogy books. I love her. I love her a lot, and I think her character development is one of the best character developments I've ever seen. She went from being, you know, a very shy, closed-off person to becoming a complete and total badass that, like, is, you know, just dominating the world. She's amazing, and I wish I could be like her, but I more aspire to be like her. I just think she's really cool. I mean, she has flaws like any character, and I think that makes a character more round if they do have flaws. So I don't necessarily want to be like those, but the good parts, you know, I respect. I think she's cool. Oh, there's another question I didn't answer. It was, how much does amino affect your reading habit? To be honest, this amino doesn't really affect it that much. I really, really love being on Books Writing Amino. It has completely, and it's changed my life, like, in every single way possible. I love it. There isn't a second that I, you know, regret it by any means. And I never get mad. I'm like, dang it, Books Amino is hogging up my time. Like, I love Books Amino. So for me, it doesn't really hinder anything necessarily. I mean, yes, I could be reading while I'm checking blogs and stuff, but I like checking blogs. So for me, I don't know, and I'm kind of reading on there anyway. I read a lot of you guys' stories, and I read a lot of you guys' writings. So for me, that's kind of like reading too. I think what matters most is that, you know, if you're just reading every single day, it doesn't really matter what it is. I mean, if you're reading People's Magazine, that's great. Yeah, you're reading in for the day. And if you're reading It by Stephen King, you're also reading, you know? So, and if you're reading short stories and Books Writing Amino, you're still reading for the day. And that's what's really cool about it. Oh, here we go. A book that was meh. I think I abbreviated this, and that's something I would definitely do. So a book that was meh, I actually pulled it off my shelf because I never talked about this book for some reason. You know, when I first joined Books Writing Amino, I was meticulous. I would blog after every single book I read, literally. I was a lover of book reviews, and now that, like, you know, I became the leader and such, I've unfortunately not been able to do that as often as I used to, just because, like, I have to push out blogs, you know, that are related to the community and all that jazz. But nonetheless, I still do read all the time. I just don't really write about them. But The Witch Hunter by Virginia Boecker, I think that's how you say it, and I apologize for completely butchering that if I did, was a book that I read that was just kind of like, it was good, and I remember enjoying it well enough, but I didn't buy the second one, and that for me is like a sign that was like, oh, it was just kind of okay, because I didn't buy the whole entire, I think it's only a duology right now. There's only 2 of them. Whether there, I don't know if it's going to be 3 or not, but or even more than that. But at the time, there was only 2. And it was good, but it was almost kind of like every other fantasy book. And that's kind of why this summer I did kind of go away from young adult fantasy, because I just found it being so utterly repetitive. It was like, you know, there's this girl who is defeating all the odds, or a guy that's beating all the odds, and it's like, okay, like, cool, but I just read that in the past, like, 5 books, you know what I mean? And it's not to completely slam young adult fantasy, because to this day, I'm still reading it. I'm still going to Barnes & Noble and still picking up adult, you know, young adult fantasy, because I think it's freaking awesome. But, you know, it just got kind of repetitive this summer. And it didn't stand out to me in any way. There wasn't something that was like, wow, that was so cool, you know? It just sounded like every other book. But again, like, it was still interesting, and it was still about fantasy, and Elizabeth Grey, who's the main character, was just a really interesting person, and she had a huge secret. And it was just kind of, it sucked you in because you wanted to know, like, would the secret get revealed? Like, how would that go? And what would happen if it did? So, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of neat, for sure. So, Witch Hunter by Virginia Boecker, if you're looking for something that's kind of jazzy, you know? I guess jazzy is not even the right word, but, like, something that's just kind of a little, I'm not even different. It's hard to explain. Something that's mind-bending. Sure, we'll go with that. I think that is it now. I think I've literally answered all of the questions I wrote down. So yeah, this was the first ever Q&A video, and it's super, super messy, and I'm sorry that the sun keeps getting in my face and blocking off how I look. Again, this is really sporadic filming. I just got home, and I was like, hey, you know what? I have time to do this. Let's do it now, you know? So I just thought, hey, and you know, I'm in the mood to film. So that was the Q&A. Thank you so much for checking out our YouTube channel, for coming over here from Books Writing Amino, or even from our Instagram. And again, for those of you who had never heard of Books Writing Amino, it's an app you can download on Google Play. I don't know what else. I have Google Pixel myself, so I know Google Play. There's the App Store for Apple, and then I guess if you have an Android too, any other type of Android, you can download it through their App Store. And it's super fun. We do have a cool new feature where you can voice chat. It's not video chat. It's like talking over the phone. I just did this, like, it's kind of like talking over the phone, so you can't see anyone, but you can hear each other's voices, which I think is kind of neat. That's one of the new things you can do on there. And again, you can just blog and about reading and writing and all that fun stuff on there. And it's a really, really loving and welcoming community, and I highly recommend it to any of you guys that do like to read. Maybe you're only reader that's kind of like in your area, like in your personal area. So it's cool to be able to kind of like meet other people that like to read as much as you do, and from everywhere in the world, which is really cool about it. I mean, I've met people from around the world that I never would have ever expected to meet. And it's just amazing. I've met some really, really awesome people through Books Writing Amino for sure. So yeah, we have a weekly challenge coming out today because it's Monday. Monday, September 18th when I'm making this. And so yeah, check it out. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be based off this week's weekly question, which is about like 2 characters from 2 different books that you think would make a really good pair, whether that be romantically or just as friends, and you guys get to write about that. So it's going to be super cool, so be sure to check that out. And that is the end of this really rushed and interesting Q&A video. So thank you so much for watching, and of course, much love and happy reading to all you.